Hey everyone, it's been a while. It's been probably 2 weeks now, and I have been settling into this new normal, and I'm sure all of you have as well. But I wanted to do a video today to try and help some of our small business friends with some tips and tricks and just strategies that we've been using and working on in our world, and we hope that it can help somebody. You don't have to be in sales. It's kind of sales geared, but anybody in business can benefit from what I'm going to talk about with you today. What have I been up to personally? Kind of just hunkering down. And ironically enough, I think this quarantine life is kind of for me. It's been nice to have some downtime and to be able to just be in the moment and enjoy a slower pace for sure. So at first, it was really hard for me. I work a lot and I like that life, and that life keeps me motivated and keeps me going. But honestly, it's really not my natural state. My natural state is a lot more relaxed and less intense. So this break has actually been good for me personally. We've been working really hard still, but it's at a totally different pace. And obviously we have given ourselves a lot of grace, which I mentioned in a past video about the fact that we can't be everything to everybody. We have 2 kids that we're trying to homeschool, and we have a puppy, and we have our relationship that we're trying to manage while both working in real estate. We have our team. And I think we've done really well at giving ourselves a break and just taking it day by day and getting done what we can, having a plan and moving forward. So personally, we're in a really good place. In the beginning of all this, it was definitely very scary. And it's amazing how fast things change to feeling more at peace with everything. And I'm really, really grateful to my company for giving us a lot of tools and training, a lot of which I'm going to go over with you today, because it's helped me calm down. It's helped me feel like I have a plan and really develop it and be able to share that with the people in my world. And now hopefully some of you can get something from this discussion today. So I hope everybody else is settling into their place as well. And I know we will be through this soon and we're on the other side, but I think we're going to be walking into a new world for a while, and nobody really knows what that looks like. So what we're doing is just being prepared for the fact that that really could look like a mix between the old world and the new world. And we want to be prepared so that we are set up for success as we go forward. So I'm going to start by reading a quote. This is a quote from Gary Keller, who is the owner of Keller Williams, and he's a wonderful leader and really is always pouring content out, and just so many people at Keller Williams taking time and effort to pour into the people that they serve and that they lead, and I'm very grateful for that, like I said. But they put together this very, very long document of strategies, and it starts off like this. Shift happens. When it does, you must shift with it. You need to pivot quickly. If you don't take action, you're literally turning your business into a game of chance, and there's no reason to do that. Make no mistake, you need to pivot. You need to pivot today. Every shift leaves an opening, a reason to stay in the market. Every problem eventually presents a solution, a way to help someone when they need it most. Today isn't yesterday, and tomorrow isn't determined. When the desire to do more comes from a place that's bigger than ourselves, anything is possible. Potential can become reality. When we pivot, we help others pivot, and together we all have the opportunity to achieve more. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, and hopefully help any business out there that is struggling to pivot and just realize that this is the new normal, and there's really not time for complaining about it. It's just action if you want to stay in the game. So I took some notes, so I'm going to reference a paper here today. I always speak right on the spot, but there's just so much content. I think this was 54 pages that I'm going to try to break down in 20 minutes, so I needed some notes. So first of all, there's 4 principles to successfully pivoting in your business. Staying safe and strong, being lean and leveraged, being digital and connected, and being creative and competitive. So the first one, saying safe and strong, I think that's the first one for a reason. I'm sure everybody would agree with that. This is a unique shift, a unique change in the world of business because it wasn't really created by the economy. It was created by obviously a pandemic and a disease, and that's a whole new world. People don't know what to do in that case. It's not a stock market crash, it's not what we've seen before. So the economic change is obviously going to come. But the weird thing and the unknown is that this is literally going to change the way we interact with people, at least in the foreseeable future. So that's new, and that is scary, and that's why we have to have a plan to be able to move forward and speak to the people that we work with and the people that we do business with about this and stay calm about it. So that's really important. Being lean and leveraged, I'll get more into that, but that's really about expenses and understanding what's really worth it and what's really working and producing you a result and cutting out the rest to survive. Being digital and connected, I think that's obvious, but really making sure that we come up with alternatives, especially if your business was based on a one-on-one personal in-person experience. Being digital and strategies about how to do that is going to be obviously critical to your business. And staying connected refers more to, well, there's really two sides, your customers and your employees or your team members. And being creative and competitive. So what business can you conduct virtually? So many businesses have already figured this out, and it's so incredible to see. I mean, the creative ideas that people have come up with, I mean, everything from, there's a business in Saratoga that is literally a business that is geared towards not drunk driving. I forget what it's called, but they drive you home. So literally you call them, if you've been drinking, they come, they drive your car home so you don't have to take an Uber and leave your car. I think it's called Saratoga Designated Drivers, but they actually are making masks because obviously people are not out at bars right now, although there probably are people that need their car driven home still, but they are not out, so they're making masks. I mean, they just shifted right into something else right away and they're selling them. I mean, the restaurants with their packages and their drink delivery and their food delivery, and my friend Laura, whose store it's Violets of Saratoga. We sent it out as our customer coupon a couple months ago now. They're doing Mother's Day packages, they did Easter packages, and they're literally delivering them or shipping them. Impressions of Saratoga, oh my God, they're doing the cutest things with these porch packages, and the whole idea is it's kind of like a May basket. You surprise whomever and leave a little gift on their porch, and they have all different options. It's just absolutely unreal what people have come up with to stay alive. And I think it's awesome. It's just, that's what it takes, and they're doing it. And actually, in some cases, they're probably doing more business than what they were doing before all of this. So being creative and competitive. Success is never about the chosen few, but the few who choose. Another quote. I'm a big fan of quotes. But think about that, because it's so, so, so true. You're not the chosen one. You choose every day to continue or to not continue. I was going to mention this at the end, but I think it's relevant here, which is like, this is not a snow day. This is a season. Like, this isn't just, oh, take the day off, it's a snow day, because this snow day has turned into literally an entire season. So are you going to treat this like a snow day and literally pause, or are you going to treat this as a season that you're training for something? How are you going to come out of this? What does that look like? What are you doing right now to prepare for what's going to unfold when things are opened up? In our industry, it's going to be a firestorm, and probably in most businesses, people are going to be unleashed. They're going to want to get out and about. Are you prepared for that? In the restaurant industry, that's going to look different because they're probably going to limit the amount of people that can be in there, so it might not be as intense. But for a lot of businesses, I think people are going to see a massive influx in business activity again. So what are you doing today to make sure that you don't miss that wave of opportunity when it happens? Because it could happen in 2 weeks. It might take 6 months. We don't know. But what are you doing today to make sure that you're treating this as a season and not a snow day? So that's an important point. So here's some strategies in terms of getting in that right. Well, first you have to get in the right mindset to even want to treat this as a training, as a season, treat this as a work day. So what are some strategies? What are some things you can do while it seems like everything is just shut down? And instead of hibernating, if your business isn't conducive to deliveries or whatever, what can you do to make sure that you're still staying top of mind with your customers? First one, make care calls. So if you're not reaching out to your clientele, your customers, it doesn't have to be a phone call. It can be any way of communicating with them or showing them that you're there for them. Why? I mean, how many phone calls have you gotten from different businesses that you frequent? Who's checking in with you? Is your hairstylist checking in with you? Is your dry cleaner checking in with you? Who's checking in with you? So be that person that's checking in with somebody. As long as it comes from the heart and it's genuine, it will be well received. Nobody's ever going to say, oh my God, my real estate agent called me to ask how I was doing. But they might say, nobody called me. Be that person that's checking in on them. Make a care call, send an email, send a text, doesn't really matter. Offer them something of value, give them something. We've been doing that on our team. We've been trying to give to different school district people that bought in different school districts. We just started it last week, and we plan to continue it for a few weeks here until we can kind of touch all the main school districts in our area for people who bought from us in the last 5 years. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of reaching out, but it's amazing. It's amazing the communication, the genuine communication that you get back from that. And you're not asking for anything. You're not calling them and asking them, do you want to buy or sell a house? You're just saying, here's a gift. I hope you're doing well. And the amount of communication back is unbelievable, and it's really a nice way to get in touch with people. Second strategy. Right now, it's really critical that all businesses and just people, personally and business, look at their expenses and cut where they can. So there's a strategy called the ABC strategy. A, expenses are anything you can't live without. So from a business perspective, it would be anything that you need that keeps your business in existence and keeps it running. What are those A expenses? And same for personal. Your mortgage, gas, food. What are your A expenses? Your B expenses are things that you really want and they're nice to have and you probably can still afford them. Your C expenses are things that do not drive your business forward. They're not critical. If you had to do without them for a few months, it would be okay. Those could be things like, social media posts that are paid or just the frills, so to speak. You want to think about cutting those. And then D are the expenses that are absolutely not necessary, but when you have the extra money, you're going to spend them. Things like automatic, monthly car wash subscriptions, app subscriptions. You would be absolutely shocked by how much savings you could find if you just took a look at all those recurring monthly charges. So a good way to do this is print out the last 3 months, not this last month, but for, let's say, February, January, December, or even January, February, March. What are your expenses on your bank account and your credit card, business and personal? Go through those with a fine-tooth comb. I bet you'll find at least $500 a month that you might be able to cut out temporarily. Not saying forever, but temporarily, just to make sure that you're positioned to focus on what's important and to not feel such a financial strain if your income has stopped temporarily. So go through that and do the ABC method. Don't just cut. Also, think about what you can renegotiate right now. Do you know how many people are just not paying anything? They're not paying their mortgage, they're not paying. Do you know how many landlords, how many companies would be thrilled just to hear, hey, I'm really struggling. Is there a better package that you can offer me right now? The fact that you're still paying and that you're willing to work on something, I bet you that they're going to renegotiate with you. If you pay for like a MailChimp account, if you're in sales, any sort of database account, even your rent, if you're a business renting, I mean, you could try to renegotiate. I know, we're landlords, we own properties, and we actually renegotiated with a couple of our tenants because A, we want to help them, and B, we're so thankful that they didn't just stop paying. So think about things that you can renegotiate to get you through. And if you have an employee or an assistant, have them call and have them say, hey, my boss really wants to cut this expense, but I love using your system. I love your program. I really don't want to cut it. Is there anything you can do that I can bring back to them to make it more affordable? Give it a shot. because you just never know. And anything you can save monthly will just make you feel so much more comfortable as you get through this time. Revisit your technology spending. So for a business, mostly sales business, but I'm sure it could work, in the food industry or in other businesses. Look at your flow of a customer. What does it look like to get that customer? What does it look like to nurture that customer? What does it look like once you get the sale? And what does it look like after the sale to keep that customer? Look at that flow, look at the technology you're using. There may be a way to consolidate, or there may be other alternatives, and this is a perfect time to look into alternatives to see if you're really getting the best deal. Businesses that charge with a credit card, is your credit card servicer really giving you the best rate? Is your online lead generation platform where your customers are coming in and doing online inquiries, whatever you're paying for, is that the best option? It's a good time to look at everything and make sure you're running the most efficiently and economically as possible with your technology resources. Stick to time blocks when you're at home. We talk a lot about time blocks in my business in a day-to-day world, not even during now, but I'm so grateful that we had that background, because actually I've been more time blocked now than I ever was when I was fully working, because it was very easy to get distracted when you've got a million things coming at you and you're out and about in the community. When you're at home, sticking to a time block is such an easy way to stay on track. And it looks different now than it did when I was working what I would consider full-time outside of the home. What I'm working on now, because I have the kids and I have to stick to a very different schedule, it looks different, but it gives me peace. When I know, okay, I'm going to do this for the first 3 hours, then I'm going to take a break and I'm going to focus on my kids and do this. Then I'm going to exercise. Then I'm going to do this and this. Come up with a schedule and involve your kids. I mean, this is a great time to teach kids about time blocking and to give them some of those skills too. And actually, I mean, my kids, it's not perfect. I yell at them, we survive, but I have to say they are actually really great at time blocking. We do, they probably do, I'll say 2.5 hours a day of schooling, which is mostly self-led. They're 6 and 10. I do very detailed notes every morning at 8 a.m. I write down all the websites they need and I really lay out their schedule for them, but they set a timer on the iPad. They know when to start and stop. They stick to it, and I think they're learning a valuable lesson for that. So set your structure if you haven't already and really stick to that, and I think that will, definitely help keep you focused. And like I said, don't be unrealistic about it. Don't say, well, I'm going to be on my computer uninterrupted for 6 hours and then I'm going to come out. That's not going to happen. If you have kids at home or pets or a husband or wife, that's not going to likely work for you. You're going to need shorter time blocks. Try an hour. Try 2 at the max. You're not going to make it past 2 if you have distractions in your life. So really stick to that. Keep it realistic and set boundaries with your family. Let them know. I mean, it could be a whole activity. You guys share your time blocks with each other and you hold each other accountable to sticking to them. It can be fun. Boredom is okay for kids. I mean, I feel like I was a generation where parents were like totally into their kids being bored. And I think now parents are very worried about their kids being bored, or they feel guilt. I know I do a lot of times, or I don't know what it is about if their kid is bored, like you're somehow not good enough or doing a good job. And I think that is why we rely on the technology. And I mean, I feel pretty good about our management of technology. We don't really allow them on technology outside of the school day, maybe a teeny bit here and there. We allow them like to FaceTime their friends once a day, maybe, just to kind of keep that. We know that social connection for them is important to keep them sane as well. So we let them do that. But other than that, it's like, go play outside, find, color, play hide and seek. I don't care what you do, like figure it out. And boredom is good for them. I mean, think about your childhood. I'm sure a lot of good activities came from boredom, and you figured it out and you were creative and you made things up and you did things and you just figured it out. It's good. It's a good life skill. So don't worry about your kids being bored. So this is a great strategy. We say in our business, be the economist of choice. So be that for your field, whatever it is. And by economist, we basically mean the expert. What can you be the expert about in your field? Because right now, with all this uncertainty, people are looking for an expert. They want to know what's going to happen. They want to know what you think, especially if you have validity, if you've been doing this for a long time. Make sure you're getting stuff out there and you're communicating with the people who respect you and your opinions. Just be that person for them and be consistent about it. And that will lead you out of this position to be that expert. I mean, and you can gain, we say market share and mind share. Market share is truly, the amount of business we do. And mind share is the amount of people who, they say, well, I worked with this person before, but God, they didn't know what they were doing. And now I'm listening to you talk about all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I missed out because I could have had somebody who's an expert. So be that presence in whatever your industry or your field is and communicate with your potential customer base. And you'll be surprised at the results that come out of it. Revisit your value proposition. Why do you do what you do? Why did you choose to have a restaurant? Why did you choose to have a clothing boutique? Tell your story. This is a great time to be telling your story. People are going to relate to you, and you always should anyways. There's a fantastic TED Talk, Start With Why, by Simon Sinek. I'm sure people have read his books. If you haven't, read them. People buy why you do things, not what you do. So Start With Why is his TED Talk, is his book, and I believe the name of his TED Talk also. But redefine your value proposition. Why do you do what you do? And share it. Tell people about it. Don't keep that a secret. People want to know who you are and why you're in business. So it's a good time to really sink back into that. Talk about it with your people and your team. Plan for digital communication options for the long term. This isn't going away. The pandemic may go away. We may open back up businesses, but what we have started during this last 6 weeks isn't going away because people love the convenience. For us in real estate, we have been able to hold virtual consultations every week. I mean, we've been doing it every week. Think of the time save it is. And we can do it just as effectively with somebody showing us around their home with a video as we can if we were physically there ourselves. The time and the convenience factor is going to win out once people go back and they say, oh, I have to drive for 2 hours, then do the appointment. I could have just sat with my pajama bottoms on and my nice work shirt on and done the appointment. Customers feel the same way. If you're offering digital options right now in your business, some businesses can't, I get that. If you are, plan to keep those around. Even if it's just an option, people are going to want that coming out of this. They're going to want that convenience. So just shifting briefly, the last thing, some tips on just working from home. If you have employees or a team, you need to stay connected to them. People are used to seeing each other in and out of the office and just interacting, and you might not have any formal structure to that. If you didn't before, you have to double down on that now. If you did before, you still have to double down on that now. So just what we're doing in our team is I'm still doing all weekly one-on-one meetings with everybody on the team so that they have an opportunity to just talk to me individually about what they're working on, what their goals are, what can I help them with, how are they doing. So we're doing that weekly. We added in a gratitude call, which is basically I think I showed this on one of the videos. I don't have it sitting here, but actually I do. The gratitude journal. So we all started doing that, and we just hop on a 30-minute call once a week. We talk about gratitude and just mindset. How are we doing? What are we thinking? Why are we thinking that? And it's been awesome because we get to talk about things that we would never talk about probably in the real business setting. So we've added that. We've also added a weekly team happy hour. We just do the 40 minutes that Zoom allows. We have a cocktail, we chit chat, we laugh, we invite spouses, and we just have fun with it. So it's a lot more casual, but it's a way to just kind of decompress together. And I also am doing just kind of, I'll call it office hours, once or twice a week, where I just go in my meeting room on Zoom and I'm just there. And it's on our team calendar, so people know I'm there. If they want to check in, they can hop in, chat, just see my face, we can have a conversation, but they know that I'm there. So if you have a team of people or you have employees and you haven't been communicating regularly with them, you should definitely reach out and try to implement something, some form of communication. That's going to be critical. And also I think you can kind of see, people show up or don't during this time. They're either going to show up for you, and I don't mean physically or on a Zoom call, I just mean they're going to do their job, they're going to ask questions, they're going to be present, or they're not. This is a great time to reinvent your team, or, I don't want to say weed out, but I kind of do. Any employees that were underperforming anyway, they're probably going to self-deselect during this time. It will be almost impossible for them to stay focused without that in-person direction. But a good strategy for this, if you do have some people that you feel like are underperforming, what we do in our world is called a 30-60-90 plan, and it's a training plan meant for new employees. So what we do is when they're hired, they get, here's what your first 30 days looks like. And I tell them, this isn't a position until we get to the end of 90 days. We're dating. So at 30 days, do we still want to date for the 60 days? At 60 days, are we still dating through the 90 days? And then in 90 days, we get married. So if it's an accountability tool, if we don't check off all the boxes at the 30 day, because just like a date, they're on their best behavior in those first 30 days. And if they're not checking off all the boxes and meeting expectations, the likelihood of them meeting expectations after the 90 days is slim to none. So use a tool similar to that and just say, all right, guys, this is a new world. We're going to reinvent our goals and our strategies for the business. Everybody's going to get a 30-day checklist. We're going to go through it weekly. If they're not showing up and they're not doing what they need to do, then it's so much easier to have that conversation with them, because it's not about you and them. It's about, here are the expectations. Did you meet these? Well, no, because blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you and the role are probably not a good fit. Do you agree? Probably. It's so much easier to have a conversation if you do need to let somebody go, because they're not matching the expectations or the standards. It's a lot harder to just have it, and especially for some people, they feel like it's a personal relationship. This makes it about the role and the job. So implement a 30-60-90 if you do have anybody that you feel like you need to see if they really can reconnect with their job, or if it's time to part ways. This is a good time to kind of clean house in that sense too. Yeah, and then I was going to finish with the season versus a snow day thing, but we've already done that. So I hope that this was helpful and it wasn't too rambly. I'm just shy of a half hour, which I think is fair. But I hope that some of my business owner friends and acquaintances and colleagues got something from this. If you made it till the end, if you did, you're awesome. You should message me so I could send you a thank you, because I know this was a really long video, but I hope it was helpful, and I'm really excited about what we're going to do next, which is we were going to start our podcast, but instead I think we're going to do a video version, and I'm going to speak with my husband, Dominic, who I also work with in, real estate life. And also obviously now we're both at home. So I'm going to put together some kind of discussion topics, and him and I are going to have a discussion about what it's like to not only work with your spouse, but during this time. So that should be fun. Maybe we'll even do it live so people can ask questions. I don't know. I'd like to say this week, but it'll probably be next week. So stay safe, everyone. I hope you and your families are healthy and well. And if you have any more questions about anything specific that I went through today, feel free to reach out. I have so many resources, and I just have this wealth of knowledge in my head because I get it so much through my company that I'm happy to share anything I can, or any strategies and tips and tricks. So stay well, everyone. Have a great evening.